MrBeast cures 1,000 people of blindness, and that's somehow controversial. The ChatGPT of music that Google are launching, and the unicorn founders who raise 20% more in their fundraising by virtue of the fact that they're active on social media. These are the three things I'm going to be talking about this week. So, first of all, MrBeast, at risk of this channel becoming a bit of a like MrBeast fan page. I am a big fan. But there's also a big story going around at the moment about a piece of video content that he created, essentially curing 1,000 people of blindness because there is a real issue with healthcare around the world. Clearly, it's a relatively cheap and easy operation, but there are millions of people who need it who can't afford it. So MrBeast cured 1,000 people of blindness, quite literally, as it says. And there is now quite a lot of controversy about this on Twitter. For some reason, people, I don't know, criticizing him for, using these people's plight as fodder for his content. I have to say, I completely disagree with that take. I think that he's a young guy who's created this wildly successful channel, who's putting his money into doing something that's a genuine, unalloyed good for 1,000 people. He's put a link to how anyone watching can help, which is going to be massive for these organizations that are working in this field. And he's also he's giving these kids Teslas and checks for 10 grand and all this stuff in the videos. It seems to me like a really amazing piece of content, which is what he does best. As I've discussed before, he's a genius for YouTube content. But B, just really, I can't see the argument that this is a bad thing, that there are 1,000 people out there that can now see that couldn't before. I just think that it's crazy to say that this isn't a good thing that he's done. So that's my view. I'd love to hear what you think. Second, so Google have announced an AI which is essentially a chat GPT for music. So it's text to music. You type in what kind of music you want to hear, and then the AI spits it out. I think it's going to be a really cool, fun, interesting piece of tech, but they haven't released it to the public yet. I think the reason for that probably is that it's a recipe for lawsuits, is my view. If you look at DALL-E 2, the OpenAI tech, which is like text to art, there's been a lot of artists saying, look, you're essentially ripping me off, because these massive data sets that they train it on, which is scraped from the whole of the internet, is putting these artists' art into the algorithm, and then you can ask it for some art that looks like artist X, Y, or Z, and it will give you something like that. So it's people are saying that it's plagiarism by AI, and it kind of is. I think if you do this in the music industry, you're just going to be asking for a whole heap of trouble. It's famously protective over plagiarism. So I suspect that's why it hasn't been released to the public yet. I don't know. But it looks like a really interesting piece of tech. Could be really useful for marketers, just rather than having to scour, these different platforms online for the perfect piece of stock music. You can just type in what you want and adjust the prompt, and it'll give you what you want. I think it'll be much, much easier. So that's that. I'm going to keep an eye out for it, and I'll let you know what I think. Finally, a story that a colleague of mine has thrown over, which is that unicorn founders who are active on social media are able to raise, on average, 20% more than founders who are not. So to be specific, this survey has revealed, it's looked at 64 startup unicorns in the UK, and it's revealed that the companies whose founders have the largest number of LinkedIn followers secured over £763 million in total investment on average. This is over 20% more than the average total raised, £632 million, across the UK's entire unicorn cohort. So I think when you think about it, this is kind of obvious, right? I think it's mad that more CEOs and founders aren't creating content more often. It's free marketing. It gets you in front of people. And I always kind of come back to this video I saw with Stephen Bartlett, the famous dragon now, but business influencer, who said in a video somewhere that he doesn't really network. He doesn't think about it as networking. What he does is creates content. And because he's got such vast and powerful social media networks, that is like, amplifying his personal brand on a much, much bigger scale than going out and shaking people's hands at drinks and dinner events ever possibly could hope to do. So it's essentially networking for the social media age. And I think it's no surprise that the founders who are on there more often are raising more money. yeah, working with founders and CEOs is something we do a lot of, and we do see great results. It is essentially, like I say, free marketing. So yeah, if you want to learn more about how to do it, get in touch. Yeah, not sure I'm the most amazing example, but certainly got a few things that we could potentially help you with. So that's it from me this week. I'd love to hear what you think about all of the above, and I will see you next week. Bye.